The games we played as children often replicate in adolescence. Years on, you spin me round and round. We're dazzled by this notion that we're blinded by pure devotion. It's hard for them, it's easy for us. Oh, you, woo, you'll be there when I get home. And you, woo, you'll hold my hand until I go. You'll never be alone, as far as I can tell. So hold me close, and don't forget me. Da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. Oh, you, woo, you'll be there when I get home. And you, woo, you'll hold my hand until I go. You'll never be alone, as far as I can tell. So hold me close, don't forget me. Da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. Don't forget me. Da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. Don't forget me. 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 Don't forget me.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another post-mortem show. Another victory for Man City in the Premier League. A crucial victory, as every single game is going to be. In today's stream, we are going to be breaking down the game itself. As always, we're going to be discussing what were the key talking points from it, from both a Man City and Brighton perspective. Speaking of perspective, the title race. What is the current reality in terms of the title race? Are Liverpool totally out of it? Is it just a two-horse race now? Is it just Man City and Arsenal? What's the likelihood of both of those sides winning all their games? Will one side drop points? Will only the other side drop points? Will both sides drop points? Will it be a case of who blinks first? Discussing all those things and also your guys' comments, thoughts, and questions in a conversational live stream. You know how these streams go nowadays, guys. Hopefully, anyway, thank you guys so much for joining me on this Friday afternoon. If you are, I was going to say if you're enjoying yourself, but we've only just started, so I imagine you're not enjoying yourself yet. If you think you'll enjoy yourself, please leave a like on the video. If you don't think you'll enjoy yourself, please leave a like on the video. Regardless, I do not care. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Hello, Colin, Tony. A very good picture of a dog there. I think only Arsenal drop points, but Spurs away will be tough. We'll be talking about that. I always pull up in the Toto next, Toby. A big up to you, Subbo. A big up to you, Nitesh. Hello, Commander Nova says, let's go. Morning says, Eric, it's currently the afternoon for me, but yes, indeed. KB Foden cooking 100%. Both City and Arsenal Spurs away still. Yes, Spurs still have a big thing to say in respect of this title race. Romeo saying Foden for Player of the Year. Walker with 2 assists yesterday. Yeah, we'll talk about Walker and the use of the fullbacks and how it was interesting. Yeah, Toby, I know, mate. I can see you've put that comment in like 4 times. Just very quickly on this, let me just show you guys something. If you follow my Twitter, you'll already know this. But let me just pop something up on screen for you, just so you can. We're not going to talk about this player for too long because I feel like I talk about this player all the time. But look at this. Take a look at this. If I can just get it right. This we see here is Phil Foden when he has started in the when he started this season, the 23-24 season. If you follow my Twitter, if you watch my YouTube videos, then you know all about this list. I have added Man of the Match awards. I went back and looked at every single official broadcast Man of the Match award, and this is what we end up with. Look at the amount of blue. Look at the amount of blue that is on your screen right now. Yeah? When Phil Foden plays in midfield, he gets a Man of the Match award more than 50% of the time. Do you know how insane that is, guys? Do you know how mad that is? Look at the blue, look at the green, even one instance of yellow where we drew and he still got Man of the Match. Insanity from Phil Foden. Before we get into the Man City Brighton game, guys, can we all agree that Phil Foden should be winning Player of the Season? Please. Can we hopefully all agree on that? Ryan Chris, shut up, Toby. It is insane. It is absolute insanity. I just wanted to start with that just because I think it needs to be spoken about. I think he's now the bookies' favourite to win it. He's been my favourite for a while now. I think I've just realised that it's got to be him. Like Van Dijk was the leader for a minute, but it's hard to justify Van Dijk now. Nowadays, given like recent games, I know you can say recency bias, but I feel like Foden and Van Dijk's been operating at a very similar level across the season, but now it's a thing. Toby, who is an Arsenal fan, says if we win it should be Rice. For me, he's definitely been Arsenal's best player, so that wouldn't be a terrible shout at all. Bree says, thought about Pep's system yesterday. Will we see it again? We have already seen it, Bree. And we'll get into what the system actually was. Walker surprised because he played well. Yeah, and let's talk about that because now I have done a video on how City played yesterday before. I did it a few months ago when we first saw it. The 2-3-5. So this isn't a new thing. We have seen it for a few months now. The first time we saw it was against Newcastle in the Premier League when we went to St James's Park. Big up to Sai. How you doing, mate? I just saw you on LB's channel. So we have seen. So this isn't new information. Again, if you want to learn more about the formation after the stream, you can go watch the video I did about Pep's new formation. Did quite well, I think, got like 50,000 views, so it's a good video. Basically, the premise of the system, and one of the reasons why it's so good, or can be so good, is largely because it does get a lot out of one of our worst players this season in Kyle Walker. So the back two is whoever the two centre-halves are usually. So yesterday it would have been Ake and Akanji. Ahead of them, so that's the base three. Ahead of them that's the base two. Sorry, in the midfield three, Rodri sits, and then Bernard. It's basically every single time Bernardo will drop. Yesterday was Kovacic who also dropped. That forms the midfield three. So it means in terms of the front five, whoever's playing on the left can tuck into midfield. So in this case, Foden. So even though Foden starts on the left, he actually played in midfield. De Bruyne obviously plays in midfield. And then the wide players are actually fullbacks. So the fullbacks become wingers, essentially. And again, this isn't new information. We've seen this a fair few times this season. The reason why it's so good from a Walker perspective, it's still not ideal, as we'll get into, but the reason why it's beneficial from a Walker perspective is it means he doesn't have to get involved in build-up necessarily. Something we all know he can't do. He can just arrive late and get involved in that final action and not really have to think about anything other than, getting to the byline and popping a ball in. As we saw happen consistently yesterday, that's how he was able to get his 2 assists, actually. Like, I'm not saying it was just like a first-time cross, but for the most part, it simplifies what he has to do. Does that make sense? You know how in the past we've spoken about how playing Doku on the right is beneficial because it helps simplify his game. Playing this 2-3 build-up shape, popping Walker out and out right wing, simplifies his game. It means he has to do very, very little and has to think very, very little. And that is in his interests because it means that he can actually just play as a marauding, like an old school standard marauding fullback as opposed to some sort of bastardization of what Pep has turned fullbacks into nowadays. So it's beneficial in that respect, as we have discussed over and over on this channel. Ultimately, this is a long-term weakness with the current profile of player we have. Gvardio goes to left wing. Walker goes to right wing. It worked yesterday. I think that's the first time Walker's ever got 2 assists in his Man City career, maybe even his Tottenham career as well. If someone wants to correct me on that, I'm not entirely sure. He doesn't normally get that level of output. It was a particularly good output game from him yesterday. Normally, he's not able to do that because he doesn't quite have the tools, the skill set. Same with Gvardiol on that left side. He's a centre-back. He's not going to pop in the ball like Alphonso Davies you know, or Marcelo back in the day. So I think that what we are gearing towards, and what the transfer window in terms of the midfield profiles, in terms of what we're asking, in terms of what we're aiming for, is telling us, is that we are going to, and also coupled with the John Stones injury situation, lack of availability and reliability, we are going to see this system more and more and more in the coming season. Certainly next season. I think next season, my prediction is that will be our main system, the 2-3 with the fullbacks as the wide players. So, you know, whether that's, you know, Gavardi on the left and then a proper offensive fullback on the other side, or hopefully a proper offensive fullback on that left side. Someone where it doesn't matter as much that there's a fullback being a winger. That's what I think we're going to be gearing towards. That's what we're going to be shaping up into. It worked very well yesterday, and it has worked a lot at times this season. On occasion, it hasn't quite worked. Think of to a lesser extent, it was used against Arsenal at the Etihad. Not quite to the same degree, but there were still elements of it. But think about how relatively ineffective Gavardio was against Arsenal, because again, it's not his fault. He's a centre back. So this is the future, I think. But we need to just bring in the right players to do that. The other reason why it works so well, and the title of the stream is about how Brighton were mad, obviously, in Suicidal Seagulls in terms of how they set up. Brave is a word you can use. I think that maybe naive is probably another. I'm very happy that Brighton set up how they did. Of course I am. It made for a very entertaining game. It was a very open game. But it was insane the way it was insane the way they set up against us. They pressed so high. Shout out to LB for the redirect and the raid. Thank you. Love that from you, LB. That's my boy. Yeah, they press so high and so aggressively and with such intent. People can say brave, but you've got to think about the fact that Brighton had however many first-team players out. They had no Ferguson. They had no Matoma. They had no Estepinian. Ciso was on the bench. They had no Gilmore. They had no James Milner. It was... I think the operative word is suicidal. Again, I'm not going to complain. It was very good. But if I was a rival fan, I'd be so annoyed. I'd be looking at that like, what are you doing? You can't. They tried to out City, and Brighton have actually done that in the past. To be fair, they have, you know, dominated the possession. I think sometimes they've had like 60% of the ball against us, which is a lot against Man City. But when you don't have your best players on the pitch, it comes across as very silly and very foolish and very naive to do that. Question marks about De Zerbi. Is that brilliance from him? Is that him sticking to his game plan and mentality, or is that illustrating a lack of adaptability? I'm thinking about it from maybe because he's destined for a top job wherever it is. Will it be City? I don't know. He's destined for a top job. Does that scream lack of availability? I don't know. Thank you to everyone who's joining from LB's channel. If you are new here, I'm sure you aren't new. I'm sure you know me. But if you are new, subscribe to the channel. Please leave a like on the stream, guys, to help your boy out. Every single like gets us closer and closer to our ultimate goal in respect of amount of subscribers, in respect of amount of viewers as well. My aim, I want to get to 100,000 subscribers. That's my ultimate aim. So if you guys want to help me achieve that, that's a lofty dream, I know. That's a very hard number to reach. I'm going to aim high. I don't care if I fall down, I aim high, yeah? We've got over 100 people watching, and we've only got 38 likes. That's pathetic, guys. Get us to 100 likes. Come on, boys. You can do it. Get your comments in as well, because this is an interactive stream. Media question: if City play better without Haaland? Your take on this, Nobbins? That game yesterday was tailor-made for Erling Haaland. It's so frustrating that he wasn't available. Haaland always plays well against Brighton. Why? Because he actually has space to run into. You see those driving runs that Kevin De Bruyne was making? Like, Haaland would have like eaten up those runs and eaten up those ultimate passes from Kevin. It's such a shame he wasn't available. Yeah, there is no doubt in my mind that Haaland probably would have scored 2, maybe even 3. Mojis makes a good point. They man mark. Haaland loves that. Lewis Dunk trying to man mark Erling Haaland is hilarious. I don't know who the centre half was last season where Haaland just bodied him. You can't man mark him like that unless you're a very specific type of defender like Rudiger, for example. It's very, very tricky to do that. Yeah, Haaland would have had a field day yesterday. And again, it's so frustrating because how many long passes did we do? You know, when Brighton's press did become, we felt it did become too much for us, and we just tried to pop it up long. But we had Alvarez, so we didn't really have that proper outlet. Again, if it was Haaland, then we would have had a field day. Sadly not. Sub says, thanks obviously on this fullback as wingers insight. I understand why Walker was so useful last night. Yes, that's exactly why. It's a 2-3 shape. If you want a bit more information on that formation and why it's so beneficial, what are the disadvantages? Because I'm not actually the biggest fan of the 2-3-5 system. If you want to know my full thoughts on it, I've done a YouTube video specifically on that system. It's around 10 minutes long. MJW says, how confident are you now for the title? Let's be honest, guys. Liverpool are out of it. I'm going to give them a cursory 1% chance, but they're out of it. Unless you think, take Man City out of it for a second. Unless you think Arsenal are going to drop points in half of their remaining games, they are out of it by definition. So, yeah, I'll give them a cursory 1% chance, you know, out of kindness. But really, I think it's almost a coin toss between City and Arsenal. It's just a question of who blinks first. Rob says there's something fraudulent about De Zerbi. I just can't put my finger on it. Give him better tools, Rob, and I'm convinced that he will do the business. I'm very convinced of that. Brett says, I respect teams who don't put 10 men behind the ball. I respect them as well, Brett, but maybe the reason why I respect them is because we normally beat them. Good day to you, Neil. Hello, Mojis. How are we? Indeed. Big up Tone. Holland would have run right. Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Tone, 100% agree with that. Do you remember when Pep first came to City and he was using Gael Clichy and Sagna as inverted wing backs? That was so iconic, man. I was there for I think it was the first home game against Sunderland, and I was like, "What is going on? You ain't a buy-in, little man. You can't do this with like 32-year-old Sagna and 31-year-old Gael Clichy or whatever. That is not going to happen." Yeah, it was so funny. And it was obviously that got nipped in the bud pretty early on. We clearly didn't have the players to do that. You know what's funny? Kolarov, a centre-back, actually low-key cooked. He actually did a really good job there. And Pep wanted to keep him, but Kolarov wanted to more guaranteed first-team football, so he wasn't able to do it. But yeah, I thought Kolarov, a centre-back, actually did a really good job. Aisha says, on to the next one, we've got Guardiola 100%. Will Pep ever go back to traditional fullbacks? How will we ever replace Walker? I'm very, very convinced the next season we are going to see at least one offensive fullback brought in, and we are going to see actual offensive fullbacks in those wide areas. So not Gvardiol, not Walker, not defending defenders, actual aggressive, offensive-minded, with output defenders. That's what I'm convinced of. Clichy went to Sky Sports and talked about it. Yeah, Clichy is a good City representative, by the way. Can we have him instead of Micah Richards? Richards is entertaining, but he's very basic in what he says. I feel like a Clichy it would be my man. I don't even know if he sees himself more of a City player than an Arsenal player. I actually don't know the answer to that. But yeah. So that was the system. That was the shape. That was how like Brighton played into it. You also saw it in respect of their, I think it was it City's third goal. The Foden one where we basically catch Brighton out. There was a really nice moment where it didn't actually lead to a goal, but it led to a decent chance where City played out from the back, and then it ended up with Walker putting a ball in, and then it was ultimately cleared away. But it started from Brighton pressing high, us playing out from the back, getting to Walker in the final third. It was a really nice attacking pattern of play, and that was a perfect illustration of how you should aim to set yourself up in terms of your build-up structure to then evade the opposition press and get to the opposition box. I've spoken about how City play the 2-3, but in the earlier stages, in that initial first phase, it wasn't a 2-3. It was actually a 3-2, Rodri would drop really deep, almost like alongside the centre-backs, to help assist and help in the build-up and to try to overload Brighton's high press. What we also saw was our defenders going really wide. Kanji in particular, in that one moment I'm thinking of in particular, went really wide to almost like right back. If you widen your build-up options, it makes it harder for the opponents to press you. Does that make sense? Conversely, go back and watch our goal, that Foden one I'm talking about. I think it's our third goal. Look at how narrow and compact Brighton's build-up is. Barco in particular. They're all basically operating within their own box. So it means that it's really easy for City to press them. What they should have done, in my opinion, was, in addition to just like, not getting read as easily and actually scanning and paying attention, they should have widened their options. So Barco shouldn't have like played himself almost at centre back. He should have popped out to full back, which would have made it much harder for City to press them ultimately. Because again, if I can throw a blanket on you, then it's very easy for me to press you. Whereas if you're all over the place, it makes it much harder. So that was a bit of a mistake by Brighton, in my opinion, and maybe a mistake by De Zerbi as well. So, but that was obviously Brighton's game plan. They tried to play football, fair play to them. Ultimately, it didn't work, and City were just too much for them in the end. Let's go to Nasri Comanchini out for a fight outside this. What? Will Pep ever revert back to the 4-3-3? I don't think he will, because he seems to really like pressing out of a 4-4-2. The 4-4-2 is a very, very solid out-of-possession structure. We've only played 4-3-3 once this season. That was against RB Leipzig, and that was only because they had a weird system change, so we changed it to match them up. He seems to, and the elite sides really like. This is why I'm surprised that Liverpool press out in a 4-3-3. Because the elite, if you think of like the two, I think what will end up being the two best sides in the division, the two most elite sides, Arsenal and City, they both play a 4-4-2. That is the in vogue system, and it has been for a number of years now. I don't really know why Liverpool play the 4-3-3. It makes them more defensively frail, because they don't have that bank of four in the midfield, so it makes them a bit easy to play around. So I'm a bit surprised that Liverpool haven't done that. I don't know how the new Feyenoord manager, I don't know how the Feyenoord manager and new Liverpool manager plays. Maybe he'll go back to that, but yeah. Sub says, what do you personally prefer, 2-3-5 or 3-2-5? With the current if everyone's fully available, for me, it's the 3-2 with the John Stones situation. But if we can bring in offensive fullback, it would go to 2-3 probably. Which is gimmicky. Yeah, I think it's a childhood Arsenal fan DJ. Cliche's class. Yeah, again, I like Gale a lot. My friends with diehard Barca fans feel even if City bottle the league, which also feels unlikely, Liverpool have a better chance of winning than Arsenal. Liverpool are out of it, guys. Let's quickly go to the table just so I can illustrate how much Liverpool are essentially out of this. Even if Arsenal lose their next game and Liverpool win it, which they aren't going to do. Oh no, well, Arsenal have two easy home games, one medium away game, and one tricky away game. Let's be honest, they're going to win both their home games. Even if Arsenal lose one of those games and Liverpool win, the goal difference is so staggering to the point that it's irrelevant. Arsenal would have to drop points again. So for me, that's why Liverpool are basically, outside of mathematical purposes, out of the title race. H says, better individual quality could save Brighton. Exactly, 100%. That's a great quote, to be fair, Mars. That is a great quote, and it is true. Walkspace a trump card in many situations. Yeah, sadly, there is no such replacement that exists, I don't think, in respect of his blinding pace, anyway. What I also liked yesterday was how defensively solid we were. I know that there were a couple of iffy moments. Maybe we should have given away a penalty. I haven't watched them all back, but people are telling me there was at least one penalty in there. Maybe there was. But in terms of like what I saw from open play, I actually really liked how we were solid defensively. I thought Akanji in particular, again, our best defender this season, was fantastic. Early on, there was a moment where if Akanji didn't get the step up right, Brighton would have been in and would have been 1v1 basically. Akanji snuffed that out immediately. There was a similar situation like 10 or 15 minutes later where Gvardiol just put it to bed and stopped the attack from materializing. He put the fire out before it was able to spread. So defensively, I thought we were brilliant, to be honest. I thought that our midfield, though, was obviously the main story. Foden, De Bruyne, Kovacic in particular. Rodri was given much more of a reserved role yesterday. I really liked that. Rodri has played so much football this season, and it's not only the number of minutes, because like people look at the minutes and go, well, Foden's actually played more minutes than Rodri, but Rodri this season has been tasked with much more burden physically than has Foden. Rodri's been given the role of, you will do everything in the midfield, you will be the midfield this entire season, and his clearly that has impacted his games in recent. That's impacted his performance in recent games, whether whether mental fatigue or physical fatigue. But yesterday, he, as I say, given a much more reserved role, played much deeper, not tasked with being this all-encompassing midfielder and creator. He was allowed to drop deep a little bit more, and he was able to hand the ball over to Bernardo, Kova, De Bruyne, Foden, rather than, as I say, be tasked with being the creator, being the goal scorer. And he was able to have a good game. I noted on my watch-along, I barely noticed Rodri, and that's good. I don't want to have to notice my DM every single game. I don't want him to be like, don't want him to be having to put in, 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 performances in terms of going forwards, because it's not fair to burden him with that responsibility. I don't want him to be doing that. So it's like Busquets. Whenever you watch like Pep's Barca, you barely notice Busquets. I don't want to notice Busquets. I don't want to notice Rodri for the most part. So I was really happy with his performance yesterday because I didn't notice it. And that sort of goes into the whole people suggesting that maybe Rodri's the Gundogan replacement. No. Rodri's the best DM in the world. Play him at DM. Play him in his actual position. Give him his actual role. Let the true creative midfielders cook, i.e. the Foden and Kevin De Bruyne's of this world. So I was really happy with Rodri's performance and the way he was utilised. Maybe we'll see that going forwards for the remainder of the season. As I say, a much more reserved, passive position and role dynamic rather than not. Who else played? Foden, De Bruyne, I think we'll get into later. Alvarez, we can maybe touch on as well. And that would be it, wouldn't it? Toby says, you who you never notice playing DM, Mohamed El Nene. It's almost if he doesn't even play. You don't move Rodri, create another problem trying to solve. Totally agree. You've got the best DM in the world there. Why are we even contemplating messing it around? Why are we even contemplating messing that around? Has the media already hyped up Forest? They will keep doing this until the Spurs game. I genuinely think the Forest away game might be the hardest one. It might even be harder than the Spurs one, because Forest are going to do the exact opposite of what Brighton did. Brighton, lovely, play out from the back, give City loads of space for us to exploit. In my opinion, there is no better team in the world at exploiting space than Man City. We just don't get the option to do it that frequently. Forest, who are fighting for their lives and are not as good as Brighton, and with their quick, wide players, are going to play the most disgusting of deep blocks you will ever see, with a Hudson-Odoi and Elanga on the counter attack to try to pick us off in transition. It's going to be hell to play against. There will be no space for us to work in. Haaland will come back into the team. He'll struggle because he'll have no space, and everyone will ask the question, "Oh, why is he not playing well?" It's going to be such an annoying game, man. Romeo, you guys know I back De Zerbi. I back him. Cal says a candidate with phone for City player of the season. Callie, I don't think you're wrong. He's definitely been our best defender. I think like you'd maybe say the order would be Foden, Rodri, Akanji, maybe. He's got a shout for being in that top three, 100%. Big up to you, Andrew. Pep Lees, what do you think of Inzaghi as a replacement? That would be very interesting because Inter play some lovely football. Don't know how realistic it would be, but that would be a very interesting shout. Hello, mate. That's very kind of you. You should get someone else and do this as a podcast. Really good. Alan, we do, well, last week we started the first installment of sort of like bringing a rival on. I brought on Tom Little. I do also have a podcast with United fans called the Knobcast. I haven't done an episode in a while. It's sort of on hiatus. We'll probably kick it back off in earnest next season. I've got a lot of plans for next season. And to get a Forest in the form we are in, because we are Man City. I mean, City shouldn't really be scared of anyone, but Forest are just a really annoying team, or they will be anyway. Toby. Holland, we're back for Forest. Yes, hopefully, Cosmic. Sweet cat result for Forest, maybe a 2-1. At this stage, guys, literally all that matters is getting the results. Herbal, I'm always good when you're here, mate. Tom Little's the boy. Yeah, I'll be getting lots of other fans on as well. Last season, we created a lot of weight to Forest. Guys, I know that we drew the game last season. By the way, guys, there's 160 people watching here, and we're only at 70 likes. I said, can we get to 100 likes? Come on, boys. If you like my content, leave me a like, boys. This channel will not grow, and I will not be able to keep doing this as my job if we don't grow. So, and the only way we can grow is with likes and new subscribers. If you're new, subscribe. If you have thumbs, if you have fingers, if you have a nose, click that like button. Yes, last season was one of our best performances, to be honest, at Forest. We ended up drawing, but I did not care about the draw because I knew that if we played like that until the end of the season, we would easily win the title because it was one of our best performances. We should have won like 5 or 6-0 that day. Ultimately, Laporte made an error in like the last second and we conceded and the finishing wasn't quite there. We were very, very unlucky. If we can have another game like that, beautiful scenes, absolutely beautiful scenes. We'll obviously see. I think that Taiwo is still out. Iwonyi is still out. He's a very terrifying striker. But I think he's still out. So the main threat's going to be from the wide areas. Holland this season refresh hasn't been that good in terms of finishing. Thai footballers keep forgetting he is young and criticise him. I do think that next season we are going to see a much more optimal, balanced team. And we are going to see players brought in to complement Haaland. So I think next season he'll pop off a little bit more. 100k coming next season. Maybe not next season, Ayushi, but definitely that is the goal 100%. 100%. I'm not going to shy away from it. I want to get to 100,000 subscribers. I'm watching our Forest away game last season today, seeing how many, we missed so many chances, it was mental. Chris Wadinho. Oh dear. We didn't win the game, the stuff, but we should have won it, and we absolutely battered them. Any other day, we battered them like 5-6-0, etc. So there we go. Phone due to be dad again, watch him score goals, says Alec. Let's talk about that, shall we? Let's talk about what was the main event from the game yesterday. And it was the midfield, wasn't it? It was the midfield, 100%. Rodri dropping slightly deeper allowed those guys to flourish. Kovacic, that was maybe the best game from Kovacic in a City shirt. He was fantastic. The way he just, with the deft little touches, the way he linked at the play, he knew who the danger men were for City. He knew the players he needed to find immediately. And when you've got Foden and De Bruyne and space in midfield, I think De Bruyne is the greatest running midfielder in... Am I going to say that? I don't even know what I mean by that. I'm going to say it. Kevin De Bruyne is the best running midfielder in modern football history. And I don't quite know what I mean by that, but I don't quite know how to translate that into more simple words. Is transition the word I'm after? No. I rephrase. Kevin De Bruyne is the greatest ball-carrying midfielder in modern football history. I'm going to say that right now. Maybe transition midfielder is the best one. Iniesta was not as good driving with the ball. Iniesta was nowhere near as good as driving the ball and carrying the ball as Kevin De Bruyne. Steven Gerrard, nowhere near the level. Frank Lampard, nowhere near the level. Modric, nowhere near the level. Kroos, nowhere near the level. Pirlo, nowhere near that level. No one. I don't think anyone is as good as De Bruyne when it comes to that. Kaká, maybe. Maybe that's a good shout. The names are limited, though. Yeah, Kaká's a very good shout, to be fair, Mikey. Smith Rowe, shut up, Toby. Yeah, okay. I'll accept Kaká. Second, then. There we go. Second best in modern football history. Give this man space. He cooks. Yaya Toure is a good shout, but I'm still taking Kevin De Bruyne. I'm still taking Kevin. Kevin De Bruyne's physicality is so underrated and undersold. This guy, you do not shake him off the ball when he's in his stride. It is very Yaya Toure-like. It is something that I would love to see Phil Foden add to his game. I don't know how he can add that, though, because it's basically purely physical. I don't want him to, like, add bulk, too much bulk to him, and then he loses, like, his nimbleness. But like, Kevin De Bruyne isn't even, like... He's not like Yaya Toure, where Yaya Toure was obviously it's so incredibly physically imposing, obviously. That's not his best attribute, but that's obviously an attribute. De Bruyne, you don't look at De Bruyne and go, yeah, that's a physical specimen, but he's still got all that hidden strength. You know, he's got that sleeper build, seemingly in respect of physicality. There was a moment very, very early on, where Foden did his lovely little turn. He did his lovely little turn, but he got muscled off the ball. And it's such a shame, because if he had that physicality, then I think that he would be he'd maybe be the best player in the world, to be honest. Rob says, I'm reaching. Who then? Outside of Kaká, I'll accept Kaká. Name me midfielders who are better at carrying the ball like that, with that pace, with that aggression, with that ultimate end product as Kevin De Bruyne. Yaya Toure for a season, but not across his City career, no chance. Not to the level of Kevin. I'm not having Iniesta, not in terms of the carrying, no shot. No shot. Definitely not Iniesta. Again, Yaya Toure across the season, no shot. Harry Maguire. Yeah, I'm not taking Iniesta over De Bruyne in that respect. I'm taking Iniesta over De Bruyne generally, but not in that respect. Zidane. Do you mean Zidane? No. No. For me, outside of Kaká, I'm not really gonna take anyone, to be honest. Certainly not Iniesta. You've never seen KDB slalom a challenge with the ball like Iniesta. Wait, what? That's not really what I'm talking about, though. I'm talking about like carrying it with aggression, with pace. So yeah. That's De Bruyne. Phil Foden, man of the match. Did he deserve man of the match? I don't know, but he got it. I am, Rob. I am. I thought I was quite specific. Let me know if I need to be more specific. But yeah, I was speaking very much so about the power of the carry, the transition in particular, and then the ultimate end product at the end of it is basically what I was referring to. I'm not talking about dribbling. No, Rob, don't worry, mate. I don't think I phrased it very well. I still don't think I'm phrasing it very well. I know what I'm talking about, but I don't know how to echo that. I'm not talking about what Iniesta used to do, guys. I'm being very specific. Think about how Yaya. Someone said Yaya Toure. That's what I'm talking about in terms of like a power carry. That's a new term I've coined. A power carry. There you go. Kaká was like that as well. Again, deceptively strong. I don't know how else to phrase it. Talk about the favourite decision City got. People are talking about Brighton. Yeah, now I've not watched the decisions back, in fairness. Apparently it wasn't a foul on Foden, like he did just slip. So fair play, it wasn't a free kick. Maybe, Rob, maybe. Bordeaux sounds a bit too aggressive in terms... I don't actually know what I'm talking about. I don't know how to... in my head, I know what I'm talking about, but I don't know how to phrase it. I don't really know. See, that's a really good comparison, actually. Yes, that's a really good comparison. Fantastic work, Andreas. Yeah. Okay, maybe third. Maybe third then. What was I saying? Yeah, yeah. In terms of the decisions, now I'm not having that João Pedro penalty though. I did see that. There is no way Gvardiol fouls him. I'm not having that one. Maybe Rodri brings him down for a penalty. So fair play. Let's say that City robbed Brighton of a couple of decisions, but ultimately we absolutely battered them, and I don't really care in that respect. If it was a really close game, then I think it would be an interesting conversation. But I'm sorry, but we absolutely destroyed them. So that for me is similar to the Fulham one, you know, where Ake was clearly offside, or someone was offside when Ake scored. It may have been Akanji, I can't remember. Someone was offside when Ake got the header, and it should have been ruled out. But I'm sorry, we absolutely destroyed them. So who cares? It wasn't like a close game where it actually mattered. Like, we would have battered them regardless. So I'm not really interested in discussing that. I was talking only modern footballers. If we talk about old school footballers, then we are going to go down a rabbit hole there. But yeah, hopefully you guys know more about what I mean. When it came to that De Bruyne, it's hard to explain, but you know when Yaya Toure just like got into his stride and you just couldn't take him off the ball, partly because of the control, partly because of the physicality, partly because of the stride, partly because, and then ultimately having the end product to pick out a player on the counter-attack, on the turn. Very specifically, that is what I am referring to. It's very, very specific that I'm talking about, but De Bruyne has that in his locker, and I just think we need to appreciate that a bit more. Again, Seedorf's a great shout, Yaya Toure is a great shout, Kaká's a great shout. That's hopefully that's what I'm trying to get at there. That's another good shout, Mikey. If the game is close, there'd be a conversation. Yeah, but again, if people want to talk about that, they can do that. But it's boring, and Brighton didn't score a goal. I can't remember anything they created from open play, really. I can't remember Edison making many saves. Not that I can think of. So I don't think it's a particularly interesting thing to discuss in that respect. Ultimately, they had loads of injuries. They weren't particularly good in terms of their build-up at times. Like we exploited them. They tried to press us high, fair play, but we evaded their press. We pressed them high. They made mistakes, and yesterday's game proves that City don't play boring football. The opponent is the boring one. Because if everyone played like Brighton did, then you get an exciting game with lots of goals and lots of back and forth action. But the reality is that most teams don't do that, rightly so, because they will get battered. It's not City's fault that everyone sets up like that against us. Is there anything else I wanted to touch on in respect to the actual game itself? Yeah, Foden, again, if you play... for you guys who weren't here, who've joined from the LB raid, we've got over 100 likes, guys. Thank you guys so much. I'm greedy. Let's get to 125, though. If you weren't here before the LB raid, this is Phil Foden's Premier League starts. I've updated it to represent Man of the Match awards. The blue and the yellow are Man of the Match awards. Look at it. Look at this player. His first season, where he's given an extensive run in midfield. I don't even know how many. Has he played most of the games in midfield? Let's have a quick look. How many are in midfield? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So 22 in midfield. How many overall? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 42. So just over half. just over half of his games have been in midfield this season. So not even a full season in midfield, because it's only just about half, yeah? Imagine a full season of this guy in midfield, guys. We are coming for that Ballon d'Or. We are coming for that Ballon d'Or, yeah? It's happening. It's a thing. It's never enough for me, Toby. Never enough. We do what we want, 100%. I was just counting. It took a long time. Toby, what is up with all these double messages, by the way? Sort your phone out. AFTV's Robbie's head so big, don't fit on my mobile. Oh, respect Robbie. Near's carrying the ball from the midfield into penalty area gave me shades of Yaya. He's definitely got that in his locker, 100% CJ. 100%. Yes, I don't think there's anything else I specifically want to talk about the game. So if you guys just got any questions or thoughts that you want me to discuss, feel free to pop them in. I've still got other topics I want to discuss, but maybe not necessarily in respect of that actual match, which we just deserve to win. Sadly, the goal difference is gone. Arsenal have made that redundant point, which is a bit of a shame. But there we go. Once again, I feel like the Arsenal game for me has been a massive watershed moment. We just seem to have gone. Something seems to have like switched in the players' heads of we need to win every single game. Yeah, we talked about the tactics earlier, Mario. Yeah. If you want to rewind the stream, go back to the start. We talked about the system, what the benefits are, that sort of thing. Something has switched in these players' heads where they have gone, we must win every single game now. Because the performance level has clearly gone up a level. And the amount of goals has clearly gone up a level. I audibly complained how we've not been battering teams this season. Normally, in a Man City season, it seems like, maybe every 3 or 4 games there's a 5-0, a 4-1, a 6-1, sometimes a 7, loads of 3-0s. There have not been that many batterings this season. Pre-Arsenal game, I can only think of a couple. I can think of Fulham, where we beat them 5-1, and was there like maybe a Bournemouth game where we beat them like 4-0 or something. Very few batterings. After that, we put 4 past Palace, 4 past Villa, 3 past Real Madrid, 5 past Luton, 4 past Brighton. It's, again, there has definitely been a realization that we've got to switch things up. We've got to be more bold in our attacking. We can be a bit more open at the back. We can't control 100% of the game, and when we are losing that control, we're conceding chances anyway, so just go gung-ho, and for sure, be a bit more open, be a bit more susceptible, but there is no, realistically, there's 1 or 2, probably no teams who can match us when we go properly out and out. So I'm very happy with that sort of realization from the boys. Alex Ferguson was 2 points away from winning 9 Premier Leagues in a row. City made the Prem boring. Yeah, we'll move on from the game. If you guys have got any other questions on the game, feel free to pop them in, or statements on the game, feel free to pop them in. But I feel like we can maybe move on from the game now. As I said, unless you guys have got any other talking points to discuss. We'll talk about the title race. Don't go anywhere. We're going to talk about the title race. Let's talk about this, shall we? I can't remember if we've spoken about this before. The first 9 Premier League seasons, Alex Ferguson's Man United won 7 of them. Right? 7 of them. That is domination on a ridiculous scale from 1993 to like the early 2000s. 7 out of 9. Blackburn winning 1, and they only just won it. They won it on the last day of the season because United failed to beat West Ham away, I think it was. Blackburn actually didn't win their last game. They lost against Liverpool on the last day of the season. And had United won their last game, again, I think it was away against West Ham, they would have won the league. And then Arsenal won it in 1998. Was that only by a point? Maybe I've got the season wrong. But again, it was very close. City, Pep City. Pep would have to win this season and then next season just to match that. So these people crying about like domination on a scale we've never seen, we've literally seen it more so. if we take Alex Ferguson's entire tenure, if we take their entire tenure, they did 3 back-to-back. They did 2 three-peats across decades. The first decade of the Premier League era has been way less competitive than any other decade so far. So this idea, this notion that the Premier League was so competitive before City came along is hogwash and bollocks. It was more competitive in like the sort of second decade when Chelsea came into it. Why? Because of external funding. Weird. Almost like external funding might be a good thing. Andrew says City extra tweet 115 due soon. What does that mean, Andrew? What does that mean? Yeah, because Chelsea came along. So then it was Chelsea and Arsenal and Man United. And you also had Liverpool trying to compete for a time. But yeah, the idea that the Premier League has been this bastion of brilliant competitiveness is shite. The English league as a whole, yeah, sure. And I guess this is off like a totally separate point on people don't like City and the fact that we spent a lot of money, and that's fine. But if we're talking about external funding generally, so these people are clearly averse to the concept of, rich owners coming in and pumping, whatever verb you want to use, pumping money into a club, where their revenue doesn't match the contributions from the owner. So, external funding, basically. Well, if you did that, guys, then I think you would have 3 Premier League winners. You would have 3. Leicester wouldn't exist as a Premier League winner. Blackburn wouldn't exist as a Premier League winner. Man City wouldn't exist as a Premier League winner. Chelsea wouldn't exist as a Premier League winner. So you would have 3. You would have Arsenal. You would have Liverpool. You would have Man United. So without this external funding, you have 3 clubs who have won the Premier League. So if you want to go to an even less competitive structure, you guys go for it. But let's not be complaining about what City are doing in terms of making it less competitive, because that is shite. That is clearly, objectively, a load of bollocks. Yeah? Just annoys me. That was a bit of a rant. 4G, get on the 5G hype, Toby, you idiot. You're in a field. What an idiot. You could debate whether phones in midfield. So DJ, the way I looked at the setup was it was a 2-3-5. Gavardio was actually the left-sided player. Foden tucked into midfield. In the same way we've seen Walker right wing, Foden tuck into right central midfield. For me, Foden's position yesterday was left central midfield. In my opinion, Foden to Saka, look, very different players. Love them both. Could both play in the same team. For me, Foden is the better player. Saka's had 1 season better than Foden, in my opinion. That was last season when Foden was out for half of it. Was injured for half of it. If Arsenal draw Spurs, do we celebrate on Sunday? Of course we celebrate. Because it gives us some wiggle room. It gives us some wiggle room. This weekend is so crucial. Because if Arsenal are going to drop points, it will be this weekend. It will be at Spurs. So if we can beat Forest, and if they drop points, that is insane. I'll push it up to like 90% chance of winning it, because then I think we can lose a game, which would be insane. It's meant how many goals that's Arsenal scored this season, considering our main improvement has been defensive. Yeah, to be fair, good defensive base provides a good offensive base. With 5-0, yeah, it's easier said than done, board. Arsenal to lose, Adam, I hope you're right. Hello, Gent. Gent, who is over it. How are you doing? Blackburn were very nearly bottled. There's a very little difference between Blackburn title season and the Newcastle. Yeah, you're not wrong, Toby. That's the one. Thank you. Yes. Are you impressed I got the exact club right as well, guys? That was all the way back in 1995. Rivals shouting Farmers League from the rooftops like they weren't farming this place, like Durbanville Hills. My other thing with that is, again, we've talked about this before, so apologies if we're going over old ground. If a title race is exciting, a title race is exciting, regardless of the end result. If you have 10, let's say, from now until, now for a decade, let's say you've got 10 title races between Chelsea and Arsenal, just for argument's sake. if Chelsea win all 10 of those, but they only win by 1 point every single time, that is an exciting decade of football. It doesn't matter that Chelsea have won 10 in a row. What matters is the journey and the excitement and the intrigue and the storylines and the narrative across the season. That's what makes a title race interesting. A title race isn't interesting by virtue of who wins it at the end, outside of very specific cases like Leicester winning it, because that's like what happened there. What's interesting is the journey and not the results. This is that outcome bias thing we've spoken about. In the same way that the City Real Madrid won all, people look at that and go defensive masterclass. They're looking at the result. They're not looking at the actual journey. They're not looking at the match. People aren't looking at... A title race cannot go from being the most interesting, exciting, brilliant in a decade to boring, same old. So when people are saying that, people are saying it's exciting because City aren't winning. That's the wrong way to look at it. That's incorrect. What makes it exciting is the idea, the possibility that anyone can win it. And if in that scenario, Chelsea win it 10 years on the trot, the fact they only won it by 1 point makes it interesting by definition. Julian says, yesterday's result means nothing. Brighton injury crisis and were poor overall. I mean, it means something because it was 3 points. Difference with Fergie was at least we could see a way out. Fergie was elite because he learned lessons from Europe. Other English teams had very basic setups. But you can see a way out here as well. Like, we might not win it this season. It wasn't in our hands for the majority of this season. So there's 100% a way out. Other teams should have capitalised. Most United has... Yes, I agree, DJ. Yeah, once again... United's title wins in the 90s, most of them were not these brilliant, exciting title races compared to what City have been. So, it's a thing. Richard Masters has apparently said it's being heard in the near future. Wait, what's that? Oh yeah, I'm sure, but you know what I mean. I'm talking about a smaller club coming in and pumping money in, etc. If one gets a free roam midfield and runs the show, it's really not rocket science. So doubt my mind, he'll be KDB's long-term replacement. He'll be the boy. Agree. Lines up wide to start. Oh yeah, sorry, that's Foden. Yep. Adam says we're going to win 6 in a row. That would be lovely. Rivals want to be the only farmers in a grand field. And yet you see like Goldbridge complaining about the fact he thinks it's boring. He would not be crying boring if it was his team. If it was his team winning everything. But because his team are crap and are not involved in the title race, he thinks it's boring. Of course it's boring for him. Of course it's boring for him. His team are shit and his rivals are very good. It's a very bad situation for him. But from an objective standpoint, from a flat-out neutral perspective, no, it's not boring. It's actually quite interesting. And again, it can't go from brilliant to boring in the space of a week. The whole point of title races is we like the twists and the turns. You can't say it's boring just because the twist didn't happen the way you wanted it to. That's just bad storytelling. Oh, Gents. Ah, okay. Oh, I thought it was Gents in like the Belgian football side. If City, yeah, and that's the thing. If this was a Bayern Munich situation where Bayern won the league by by a number of points every single season, not only were they doing that, but they were poaching their title rivals' best players and their title rivals' best managers. If we were doing that, I would concede that it is boring and it is not interesting because there are no true title races and we are basically handicapping our rivals directly by trying to cherry pick their best players and their best managers. If we, now signed Declan Rice and we signed Van Dijk and we signed Saka and we signed Trent, then fine. I could accept that and I could understand that. But that isn't what we're doing. You get what I mean? The metaphor you're using isn't great because I think even if it was 1 point difference every season by about 3 seasons, we'd be like, this is a bit boring. And I don't agree, Toby. I don't think you would because, again, it's the journey. I don't agree with that. It's like again, even with City, like we're about to win 4 in a row. We've had some of the most exciting title races in that period. And if we take Pep's reign as a whole, we've had some of the most exciting title races by definition. 18-19, unbelievable title race. 21-22, the Gundogan situation, unbelievable title race. Last season against Arsenal, brilliant title race. This season, 3-horse race. That's 4. That's 4. And on that, I'll say it again, if we win the title this season, guys, it will not be because City won it. It will be because Arsenal and Liverpool lost it. It will be on them. It was their fault. It was in their hands. They didn't take advantage enough of our blip, and it's their fault. What I mean is Pep didn't start Foden at one of the 8s. He adapted the 2 system with Walker, Vital, Phone, Central. Yeah, and we've seen that a lot this season. Yeah. So Foden nominally starts on the left, but actually he's more of a midfielder. I can't. City have got rival fans rage quitting watchalongs at halftime. That's absolutely class. I love that. Treble winners also at Centurions. Guys, the Centurions for me are the greatest Premier League side in Premier League history. In fact, guys, shall we very, very quickly? What is everyone? Because this is a fun one. Yeah, Toby, your double messages are crazy, man. Just very quickly, what is everyone's top 5 Premier League teams? You don't have to look at it in terms of an individual season. You can look at the context of other seasons. What's your top 5? Let me know. For me, I'm not talking about like total eras, because obviously, if we're talking about Pep City, obviously that's number 1. I'm talking more like you can have one season and you can have the context of the following season and the previous season if you want. What's your top 5, guys? I'll give you my top 5 in a minute when I catch up on the chat. Yeah, Fred, I didn't know what was happening there. Jamie says non-massive rivals, thinks this team is weak. They don't know what's going to hit them next. Jamie, here's the thing, guys. Here is the thing. If we win the title, I'm of the opinion this would be the worst City team to win the title under Pep. That's my opinion. Whether we win the double or not, I don't care. I don't think we've been particularly good this season. But you're absolutely right. If we win, a bad Man City or a subpar Man City, still a brilliant Man City, we are not going to be subpar next season. I can promise you that. Hey Nobby, how do you evaluate Guevarra's first season? I think he's been brilliant. I'm going to give him at least a 7, maybe even an 8. I think he's been underrated. I think he's been brilliant. LB, you said it, not me. Exactly, Jasper, exactly. Winners need to lose for it to be interesting. But, and if it was like, they win 20 in a row, then maybe you've got a point. But that's not going to happen, is it? That's the thing. Let City get to 10 in a row before we compare them to what happened in Germany. Let's do that first of all. Everyone thought the 18 sound system was really exciting. City dominated. Now people think it was boring. What changed? Well, exactly bored with this. God's sake. We only beaten the top 6 side of the season. Yep, Alamy not wrong. It shows Pep's genius. Everyone demanding Foden plays with De Bruyne in the midfield, and Pep goes out of the box to find a new system instead of forcing them in it. And then DJ, I don't know if you were here for the start. That's why I think that the future is probably the fullback, wing-back situation, because with that you can, and you guys know that I don't like doing predictive analysis. I don't like it when people say I called this, but I'm going to be annoying. I did call this. If you go watch my Foden De Bruyne video, I talked about Carvalho pushing up to the left to allow Foden De Bruyne to play midfield optimally. I said that before it happened. I just want to put that out there. Oh no, City says good, fair enough. Bree says number 1 is Leicester. Centurions, Invincibles, United 0708, Chelsea. Yeah, right, so my top 5. Obviously, the Centurions are top. They are, without a doubt, the greatest Premier League side I've ever seen. Easily. I don't care that the treble winners won the treble. I don't care they won more trophies. The Centurions were just borderline perfect. It was unbelievable. The 17-18 Champions League situation was such bollocks. I know we lost, and maybe we would have lost without refereeing decisions, but I can't get over the amount of refereeing decisions that went incorrectly against us. And you guys know me, I don't like to complain about refereeing decisions, but I can't avoid it. When Salah scored an offside goal in the first leg, Jesus scored a perfectly legitimate goal ruled out for offside when it wasn't. Second leg, Sane scored a perfectly legitimate goal, not given. 3 goals, which should have... A 3-goal swing is insane. So yeah, so yes, it's definitely Centurions for me, top. I'll have City. You can call me biased, I don't care. City's treble winners next, definitely. Yeah, I think that's reasonable. They won the treble, so they're going to be high by definition. Especially that stretch from like March to the end of the season. I actually think that stretch is better than the Centurions, to be fair, but it wasn't across the whole season. But if we're talking about individual peak, that one. After that, I'm going probably United 08-09. The year, 2007-08, the year they won the double, the Continental double. Rooney, Tevez, Ballon d'Or, Ronaldo. You had Scholes and Carrick, Vidic, Ferdinand, Van der Sar, Evra, Wes Brown. Even Owen Hargreaves, mental. That was a ridiculous team. They were brilliant. In my opinion, better than the United's treble winners. Speaking of United's treble winners, I'd probably put them next. 98-99. You can't ignore the fact they won the treble. I think that's reasonable. So just leaves that 5th spot. For me, I think there are 3. I think Toby's touched on them here. Do you have the Invincibles? Do you have Mourinho's Chelsea? Do you have Liverpool from 1920? If I was doing it purely off individual seasons, I'd probably maybe go for Liverpool in 1920. However, I caveated this by saying you can consider the context of surrounding seasons. My main issue with every single Klopp Liverpool side, obviously that's the only side that did it, they never defended a title. And for me, defending a title is actually harder than winning the title. I'd personally have Mourinho's Chelsea in there as that 5th one. I'm sorry, Arsenal Invincibles. Mourinho's Chelsea was no joke. Damien Duff, Robben, Lampard, Joe Cole, Terry, Carvalho, Cech, Makalele. Insanity. Sean Wright Phillips. No, that was the next season, but still. Yeah, so that would be my top 5, I think. Dan says no way Centurions are greater than the treble winners. That team achieved great. In terms of achievement, Daniel, sure, but I'm looking at it in terms of the team and what I witnessed with my eyes. I'm not talking about greatness. I'm not talking about achievement. I'm talking about the actual team itself. Formidable seasons on par. Yeah, I didn't even think about City 18-90. That's a tricky one. There's so many good City sides. I'm sorry, Toby. I know you're an Arsenal fan, but these Invincibles, I'm not going to. I can't call them the Invincibles. You lost 5 games that season. You're not the Invincibles. I'm sorry, you're not. I need to think of another name for you because you weren't invincible. You lost 5 times. Come up with a better nickname, which isn't fraudulent. $89 better than Centurions, as Brett Fairs. What do you mean give over? You lost 5 times, Toby. What do you mean give over? How can you call yourself invincible when you lost 5 times? So we're City. So right, okay. Right. Not only were City treble winners last season, they were also invincible because they didn't get beaten in the Champions League. There you go. So if we're saying that Arsenal and 04 are invincibles, we're saying City last season are invincibles. No difference. Neither side went truly invincible. Leverkusen are actually going to be invincible. Preston North End, back in the day, they were invincible. That's not me being cheeky. That's me being realistic. Yeah? It's a good point. Well brought out. Yeah, but the team were called the Invincibles, Toby. And as I understand it, if memory serves, they're involved in more than one competition. And also, we are talking about Premier League sides, but one of the reasons why I said the treble-winning team is because they won the treble. So we are obviously talking about other competitions. So you're going to have to hold that, I'm afraid. You're not the Invincibles. You are the nearly Invincibles in the same... Or Again, if we're saying Arsenal and 04 are the if we're saying that team is the Invincibles, we are also saying that City were invincible last season. So that's the trade-off. Which is it? Option A, they were both invincible. Option B, neither were invincible. Which one do you want to go for, Arsenal fans? A or B? Let me know. I ain't forgetting Middlesbrough beating you twice in 2004. I ain't letting you forget that. I ain't letting you forget the 3 Champions League games the 3 Champions League games you lost. I ain't letting you forget that. I ain't letting you forget the FA Cup defeat to United. I ain't letting you forget that. By the way, guys, I didn't want to go after Iniesta. I'm not going after Iniesta. Iniesta, for me, is the greatest midfielder in football history, alongside Xavi. I was being very, very specific in terms of that comparison. Yeah, exactly. Big up Preston North End. The only true English Invincibles. Hold that. Arsenal are going to have to hold that. Yeah, hey, Leverkusen and Linny might go on and be actual Invincibles. We'll have to see. We're 2 likes away from 150 likes, guys. Can we do that? Yes, we can. Come on, boys. Get it up here. Is there anything else we want to chat about, guys? We have been live for over an hour. I think we'll be live for like another 20 minutes or so. Is there anything else you guys want to discuss? We've talked about the Chelsea game, obviously. We've talked about the title race. If any points are going to be dropped by Arsenal, I suspect it will be this weekend. So big weekend. This could be title defining. It really could be. If we don't win, that could be it. If Arsenal don't win, that could be it. If they both win, who's going to blink first? If anyone. It's a good point, board with this, to be fair. It's a good point. Prediction on Spurs versus Arsenal. I'm gonna be. It's at White Hart Lane. It's at Spurs' ground, isn't it? They've got something for me. I'm gonna go 1-1. Arsenal will take the lead, but Spurs have got something for me. I'm gonna will it into existence. 1-1. They drew at the Emirates as well, didn't they? They're gonna spoil the party. They're gonna spoil the party. Bree asks, will Nunes be sold in the summer? I don't know what's going to happen with Nunes. I'd like to think not. But if we bring in the players I want to bring in, it does make it look a little bit tricky in terms of where does he fit in respect of the squad. Where does he fit in? Ticket prices, sadly, they are just going up every single season, I'm afraid to say. I'd love Spurs. Linny, if Spurs get a good result, that could be GG's. And if Spurs get a result, a draw, and we beat Forest, that is probably GG. Because it means that we could afford to not beat Spurs, and then we've just got to beat Wolves and West Ham at home, and then Fulham away, which we should obviously do. If our existed would for Middlesbrough be in the Champions League final, I'm again, I can't rewrite history. I don't know what would happen in that situation, but I can't look past the fact that there were 3 incorrect goal decisions in that tie. That is big. That is so. I actually don't know. Where is Spurs shirt? Says Andrew. I do not own one. I own a white top with like a berry logo on it. As a gift, would you rather receive £50 million or would you rather Arsenal lose to Spurs? Obviously, guys, I'm not stupid. I want money. I'm not a rich man, guys. I need money, so I'll take the money all the time. Damien asks, should Alvarez play for the rest of the season? Nah. We need our boy Haaland. We need him. I do like how Nunes has that ability to turn and drive with the ball through midfield. Yeah, again, it is a Yaya Toure-esque trait. Once he gets going, and it's pretty difficult to stop him. I do hope there is a place for him. But it is tricky. Because again, even if we assume we sell Bernardo, Calvin Phillips, Cancelo, etc. I love you too, Tom. And we bring in, maybe not these players necessarily, but we do bring a player in the mold of Paquetá, Bruno Guimaraes, and we still have De Bruyne, and we still have Foden, and we still got Rico Lewis, and we still got Oscar Bob. Question marks begin to materialise around Kovacic and Nunes in terms of where do they fit in. Less so Kova, because he's more of a stopgap anyway. He's more of a temporary player anyway. But the Nunes one, it becomes a tricky conversation. I've said this before. If we signed Paquetá in the summer, we don't sign Núñez, obviously. So if we bring in Paquetá in the summer, where does that leave Núñez's future? I'd love him to have a place, but we all know Pep likes small squad, so I actually don't know. Jason says, I hate the narrative that goes around about City players better without Haaland. Yes, it was a game where... Exactly. Jason, 100%. Bored with this. Thank you so much for the super chat. For some reason, my alert has absolutely been destroyed. Thank you so much for that. Bored with this. Incredibly generous of you. Super chats like this help support the channel and allow me to continue doing what I do. You guys don't have to super chat, but if you are able to super chat, if you're able to become a YouTube member, a link in the pinned comment. If you want to go the extra mile to support, you can do. You don't have to, obviously, but thank you so much. I won't lie. I'm eternally grateful. With inflation, this will be worth £50 million someday. I will invest that right now, mate. Thank you so much. I won't. I need to pay my expenses, but thank you so much. We thought to bring Savio in. I think it's a good signing. We do need those two-sided players. It is indeed DJ. Kova might move on. Again, I just look at Núñez and I go, where does he fit in if we sign those players? If we sign the players I want to bring in, where does he fit in? Can he fit in? I actually don't know the answer to that. It's a tricky one. Why can't you buy Bruno and a West Ham player? Why can't we? No, we hopefully can, Andrew. I want them. Dressed as one of the Wiggles. Respect me. Keiki got that injury and he was done, sadly, I think. Why didn't they give out chance to Alvarez against Madrid? Because we needed Haaland on the pitch. That's why. Alvarez would have been very ineffective. Liverpool fans are shouting to sell Salah. Imagine if we sign him. I don't think. See, I don't think we need a player like Salah. To be fair, we need a more like creative, wide player than like someone who's basically a finisher out wide, in my opinion, to help complement Erling. That's why Grealish, Bernardo, etc. are so good. That's why Firmino was so good with Salah. What's about Paquetá, Bruno, Kimmich, Vert, Savio, and bring back Jan Couto? Yeah, that I mean, bored with this. I want a lot of signings, but that's too much. That is far too much. In terms of incomings, that is mad. Anything else to talk about, guys? Eric. Oh, here we go. Eric says, have you talked about Akanji, how important he's become? To be fair, I think we talked about it on the last stream where he played the John Stones role. He's been our best defender this season. He has been unbelievable. He was a rock yesterday. He's so good. Considering the price we paid for him, unreal, unbelievable, mad. Yeah, Akanji's the boy. That would be ridiculous. And then you've got like John Stone stepping up alongside Rodri, or you've got Bruno Guimaraes alongside Rodri, and then like an attacking fullback on the wings. That midfield is godly, unreal. Alvarez had to play in his traditional role. Alvarez leaving loading. I don't think so, Damien. Kanji is the rock, 100%. De Zerbi's tactics are better than some Manchester squad lacks quality. Totally agree with that. If you give De Zerbi City's tools, he will cook. Should play Carson. He's just chilling. He's just chilling. Hey guys, I think we're going to wrap up unless there's any other final comments or thoughts we have. I think I've touched on everything I wanted to do. We touched on the game, the importance of Foden and Kevin De Bruyne. We even touched on like the top 5 Premier League sides. I somehow got to slandering the Arsenal nearly invincibles. Yeah, that's what we're going to call them nowadays. Toby. Sorry, Toby. Have you heard? No, Toby. What is this? What's going on? What is this Richard Masters thing? What has happened? What is occurring? Nice to find this channel. If you are new, subscribe. Subscribe, guys. Yeah, what is this Richard Masters thing? What is going on? Do I need to log on to Twitter? Do I need to log on to Twitter and see what's going on in the world? In this world of chaos? Wow. What an update. The hearing will take place in the near future. Yeah. So, yeah, nothing then. Why? You might as well just not update at that point. That's like, when like there's like when like Fabrizio Romano tweets saying, this transfer's still ongoing, and it's like, why, if there's not been any, he says, no changes in this story, then why are you tweeting about it then? If there's no change, why are you talking about it? It's a weird one. Yeah, what an update. It's like when people ask me to update my video on the charge, people go, oh, it's been over a year, what do you think now? The situation hasn't changed. Yeah, exactly. The situation. So I'm not going to do an update video on my, Man City Chargers video, because the situation is the exact same. So I don't want to milk a topic. There's no point. I'm not a milker, guys. I do not milk the cow. Yeah, I'm not touching those teats. Do you think Liverpool will challenge City more than Arsenal? No. I think Liverpool are... Sorry, Andrew, if you're still here. I think that Liverpool are going to be... Not out in the wilderness, that's not the right term, but... I'd be very, very surprised if they get back to challenging immediately with a new manager who's not really got that much experience at this elite level, certainly in the Premier League. Arsenal are already there. Arsenal already have the tools. Liverpool have overachieved relative to what we all thought was going to happen. A lot of their players are aging. They've rebuilt their midfield. They need a further rebuild in certain areas. And they're bringing in what could be a situation where there's going to be a transitional manager. He's obviously a massive step down compared to Klopp. So personally, I don't see Liverpool genuinely challenging next season. I see Liverpool being not being bad by any means. I see them finishing third, but a fair distance away from first and second. If I'm being honest, I see if the transfer window goes the way I want it to, I can see City winning this title with like 4 or 5 games to go. Personally, I see City getting like mid-90s points. If it goes the way I think it should go, anyway. Yeah, you should do, Toby. It's not good enough. Hey, I'm a wild man. Liverpool will be on Spurs setting for the next 5 years. I'm so happy Liverpool bottled spent the whole season about the title race being them and City as if Arsenal aren't better. It sort of has balance. I mean, I kept saying it every single week. Surely Liverpool are going to drop off. Surely they're going to drop off. And then eventually I sort of accepted they weren't. Now finally they have. And it does feel like normality is restored in that they were. You can say it's easy in hindsight, but to be fair, I did say before the season started that it will be City first, Arsenal second, Liverpool third. That was my prediction, which I stuck with for the majority of the season. It did always feel like Liverpool were hanging on, and they clearly were a step below. Toby, what the fuck? They clearly were hanging on, and now it's finally caught up with them. And if City win the title, guys, I'm gonna do such a fucking. I'm gonna be such. You think I've like slandered the Arsenal whatever today? I haven't, by the way. I've just been factual. But you think I've been like attacking people / teams, going in hard today? If we win the title, you will not believe how hard I'm going to go in on Liverpool and certain individuals. You do not understand how smug and annoying I'm going to be, and I'm never that. I like to think I'm quite modest and humble when City do well. I'm going to be insufferable for that stream. If you're I'm sorry, Andrew. If you're a Liverpool fan, you will not want to watch that. I'm going to pop off if that happens. But hey, it came to pass. It came to pass. Is that a Rimuri plushie? No, there's a dumpling. There's a dumpling plushie, but I don't know who that is. I don't know who that is. Guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm going to end the stream here. We have been live for around 90 minutes. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you guys are still enjoying these post-mortem shows. We are still getting just over 100 people watching, which is great. Hopefully we can get it to the point where we're getting over 200 people watching, and then etc. Yeah, I like to think I'm not that shameless, but I will. It's not nice to see you, Toby, you fraud. Yeah. hopefully, you guys enjoy the shows. I promise, guys, I will get back into doing the 10-minute analysis videos. I need to get back into the swing of that. Just got a lot of things going on in my personal life right now, so it's a little bit tricky. So that's why we've just been doing these live shows in the interim. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. And actually, guys, don't go anywhere. Guys, I'm going to be live later tonight. And I'm going to be live later tonight, not on YouTube. I'm going to be live later tonight on Twitch. LNobbins on Twitch. Hopefully the link should come through now. If it doesn't, then that's an L. There it is. Click that link, guys. I'm going to be live at 8 PM tonight. We are going to be doing pro clubs with my Patreon supporters. So Toby, for example. Toby's going to be here. He's going to be playing with us. And just follow the Twitch in general, because we stream more over on Twitch than YouTube, actually. So if you want more Nobbins content into your life, you need to be following the Twitch. The link is there. Go click it. Go follow. If you don't have an account, it's free to set up an account. It's just like YouTube, but it's a slightly different platform. So go follow the channel. If sitting on the title, I'll send you a plushie thank you board with this. Yeah, exactly, Damien. You better be there. Everyone here, you better be there later on in the stream to go watch Noblet FC pop off and try to get into whatever division we are in. Again, the link is there. The link is in every single video description as well. Go click it. Go follow. And I will see you all later tonight at 8 PM English time. Until then, guys, have a lovely rest of your evening. And I'll see you at 8 tonight on Twitch. Goodbye, guys.